Michael Fanone. He was one of the police officers, one of the Capitol police officers. He's testified in front of Congress multiple times. It's a little bit long video. It's a little bit of a long video, but I think this is important to sit with, and I think it's important for MAGA to be forced to sit with this whenever we can. They need to hear this. This is a police officer. This is law and order. This is a guy who just showed up to work thinking it was a normal day, and wound up getting the shit beat out of him. And eventually, he saw some of those people who beat him go to prison, and he must have felt like, okay, at least my country has my back, and now we're here. And I want you to hear what he had to say to Anderson Cooper.
Michael, I appreciate you being with us. I'm wondering when you heard the news and what's going through your mind tonight.
I just heard the news from your producers a few moments ago. I mean, the only thing that that's going through my mind right now is that this is what the American people voted for. Donald Trump has been promising these pardons ever since he announced his candidacy in Waco, Texas, the scene of one of the most notorious battles between American law enforcement and the American extremist movement that resulted in the death of numerous law enforcement officers. Thanks, America.
This feels like a betrayal to you.
Oh, I have been betrayed by my country. Rest assured, I have been betrayed by my country, and I've been betrayed by those that supported Donald Trump. Whether you voted for him because he promised these pardons or for some other reason, you knew that this was coming, and here we are. Tonight, 6 individuals who assaulted me as I did my job on January 6th, as did hundreds of other law enforcement officers, will now walk free. 6 individuals who have threatened my life and who have made threats towards my family members, as well as countless other January 6th defendants who have threatened me because they see me as a spokesperson for law enforcement for this event. My family, my children, and myself are less safe today because of Donald Trump and his supporters.
I think there's a lot of people that feel this way, exactly how he feels, that like they are less safe now. And some of those people, it might be bullshit, and some of those people, it's real. But there are people in this country who now are less safe because Donald Trump is in office. And the fact that it's law enforcement from the law and order candidate is heartbreaking.
You hear the president of the United States, Donald Trump, talking about back the blue, or his supporters saying that they back the blue. You don't buy that?
No political party supports law enforcement. That's just a fact. Political parties support public safety, but they don't support police officers, and they don't understand the sacrifices that we make on behalf of the American people. That's been my experience as a 20-year career law enforcement officer in a major metropolitan city in this country. That being said, right now, I think that the Republican Party owns a monopoly on hypocrisy when it comes to supporting, or their supposed support of, law enforcement. Because tonight, the leader of the Republican Party pardoned hundreds of violent cop assaulters.
You were pardoned today, and we should know President Biden said it was not for committing a crime, it was for stepping forward to testify about January 6th. Did you know about that in advance? What do you think about that? And are you concerned for the safety of your family now?
I had no communication with the White House or anyone else, for that matter, regarding a potential pardon or presidential pardon. I mean, all I can say is that I think it's a sad commentary on where we are as a nation, that a sitting president thought it necessary to issue a preemptive pardon to a witness in a congressional investigation because the subject of that investigation is now the president and had promised to pursue politically motivated revenge. Again, it's just more examples of the outrageous behavior of the current president of the United States. As far as concern for my family and my family's safety, I've been concerned for myself and my family's safety ever since I testified before Congress. If you remember, I didn't even make it through my congressional testimony before I received my first threat from a member of the American public who called me and threatened my life literally as I was giving testimony. And those threats have continued to this day against both myself and members of my family. In recent months, my mother has been swatted, a 76-year-old woman who's guilty of nothing other than having a son, a police officer who responded to the Capitol on January 6th. And she's also had human feces thrown on her while she was raking leaves in her front yard. This is who we are as a nation. This is what we have become, and it has been further exacerbated by Donald Trump. As I've said many times before, we are self-centered, we are violent, and we are indifferent to the suffering of our neighbors.
Michael, I appreciate you joining us tonight. Thank you.
Like, nobody should feel this level of unsafe. I think you're seeing journalists now, specifically journalists on our side of the aisle, who are going to great lengths to insulate themselves, to protect themselves, to protect their communications, because I don't believe that there's any level that Donald Trump and his cronies won't go to. I don't think that, like, when I call Mike Davis a bitch on Twitter now, I don't think that there's a 0% chance that Mike Davis comes after me and that Donald Trump lets him do it. Retaliation, retribution, silencing of their critics, it's what they do. It's what he's been trying to do. Donald Trump has tried to silence every single outlet who's ever criticized him. Either he sues them or he convinces his followers to turn on them, and he's done it. If you worked for CNN pre-Trump, you could go places and you were fairly safe. Post-Trump, you don't even want to put a CNN badge on. There's the guy from the Bulwark, I forget his name. You guys can help me with his name. I was listening to a podcast he did it was an article he wrote about last year at CPAC. He went and they pulled his credentials. They weren't allowing Tim Miller. Thank you, guys. Tim Miller wrote this story that previously he had gone to CPAC as a journalist. And as somebody who's viewed as on the left, though I'd say Tim Miller's very much a centrist, he went and bought a ticket as just a regular person. And he said the difference between how he was treated was night and day. And he was afraid to tell people that he was Tim Miller. He was afraid to tell people where he worked. He was a Republican, you're right. And him seeing like the reaction from certain people to other journalists just because they saw a journalist. Like this fight that Donald Trump has put us in, this division that he's caused between us and our friends, is literally truth versus untruth. It is fighting for two competing realities. And the reason that we say it looks an awful lot like fascism is because the guy leading is lying. He's lying about everything. We had two guests yesterday. I talked to whatever her face was for an hour and a half, and she couldn't say Donald Trump lost in 2020. How do we get past that? You don't. The truth of the matter is, like, we're in a country that's fucked right now. We're in the midst of a small civil war, and there's one person that has more power than the rest. And there's one person that has more loyalty than the rest. And there are going to be people who wind up being casualties of this war. There will be people who lose their lives. There will be people who lose their jobs. There will be people who lose their careers. There will be people who lose their citizenship. There will be people who are jailed. Dissidents will be punished. There's no question about that. And what Donald Trump just did in releasing these January 6 hostages, that he calls them, is basically said, you can fight for me. Don't worry, we got the brown shirts now. Why do you think he released all the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys? Why do you think he's giving them full pardons? Look at the response from QAnon Shaman. This is what he posted on Twitter yesterday. Just got the news from my lawyer. I got a pardon, baby. Thank you, President Trump. Now I'm going to buy some motherfucking guns. I love this country. God bless America. J6ers are getting released and justice has come. Everything done in the dark will come to light. Nothing was done in the dark. We watched you guys attack the Capitol in broad daylight on video. We watched it. Jacob Chansley has blamed Trump. He said that he changed his mind. It's like, yeah, I was there because I was lied to. Most of these people said they were lied to. Why did Trump pardon them? Who benefited from that? Why? Somebody tell if there's any Republicans left here. Like, who benefited from that pardon? Outside of these people, why did Republicans want that pardon? Because they have chosen not to believe that Trump and Republicans were behind January 6th. Trump yesterday repeated the same lie that Nancy Pelosi orchestrated January 6th. Why are all these people saying the thank you Trump then? They all seem like they're Trump supporters. How did Nancy Pelosi orchestrate this? The similarities between this and Germany in the 1930s are pretty apparent. They're very similar. And it starts with a country willing to believe lies because they're scared. And when people are scared, they'll believe anything.